I was running late for my flight, packing up last-minute essentials in the living room. My mind was buzzing with a checklist: laptop, chargers, passport, presentation slides. Emily had left her own laptop open on the kitchen counter, and I noticed it as I went to grab my coat. I wasn't planning to look at it, I had no reason to, but then a notification pinged, and my eyes instinctively darted over. The document was titled Thoughts, and I could see part of a sentence just below the title: "Sometimes I feel like he's the only one who really sees me." I froze. Was she talking about me? A chill crept up my spine as I reached over and clicked on the document. The words hit like a punch to the gut. In her diary entries, she mentioned James, her boss. She wrote about how he understood her, how she felt alive and validated in a way she hadn't in years. My mind reeled as I skimmed through entry after entry, each more painful than the last. There was no mention of anything physical, but somehow that made it worse. She had given him a part of herself that once belonged to me. I sank into a chair, my mind struggling to process what I was reading. I'd always thought we had a good marriage, not perfect, but solid. Sure, we had our ups and downs, but I never imagined she'd feel like this, let alone pour her heart out to another man, even if it was only in thoughts. Betrayal twisted my stomach. This was worse than any casual flirtation or harmless crush. This was real. I heard the front door open, and a familiar voice snapped me out of my daze. "David? You ready to go?" Emily walked in, smiling as she set her purse down on the table. She looked like nothing had changed, like this was just any other day. "Yeah, almost," I managed, struggling to keep my voice steady as I closed her laptop and set it aside. My heart was pounding, and I could feel the anger boiling beneath the surface, but I wasn't ready to confront her. Not here, not like this. She looked at me with a slight frown. "Everything okay?" I took a slow, deep breath, forcing myself to keep my face neutral. "Just stressed about the trip." She nodded, her face softening. "I know. But you're going to do great. You always do." She reached out, brushing a hand over my arm, a comforting gesture that now felt hollow. I forced a tight smile. "Thanks. I should get going." Emily followed me to the door, waving as I pulled my suitcase out to the car. I tried to hold it together, but the words from her diary kept swirling in my mind. "He makes me feel seen." As I drove away, the silence in the car seemed to echo with her words, and all I felt was a terrible ache in my chest. Later that night, once I was settled in my hotel room, I decided I couldn't leave this hanging. I called Alex, my closest friend, hoping he'd help me make sense of this mess. When he picked up, his voice was casual, oblivious to the turmoil brewing on my end. "Hey, David. What's up?" "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I need to talk to you about something. It's serious." Alex immediately picked up on my tone. "What happened? You sound like someone just kicked your dog." "It's Emily," I said, and my voice broke a little. "What do you mean? Did something happen to her?" he asked, his voice sharpening with concern. No, it's nothing like that. I mean, it's hard to explain." I hesitated, feeling a mix of anger, shame, and something else I couldn't quite put my finger on. "I found something. On her laptop. A diary." Alex was silent for a moment before he asked carefully, "A diary? What did it say?" I exhaled, running a hand through my hair. "It's about her boss, James. She's been writing about him, about how he understands her. She said he makes her feel seen. It's all emotional. But you know what that means, right?" He let out a long breath. "Man, I'm really sorry. I don't even know what to say. How long has this been going on?" "I don't know. Long enough for her to start pouring her heart out about him. And the worst part? I didn't even notice. I thought we were good, you know." I clenched my fist, feeling the anger rise again. All this time, I was just blind. "David, listen," Alex said carefully. "Before you do anything drastic, maybe take some time to process this. I know it hurts, but you need a clear head before you make any big decisions. I closed my eyes, nodding even though he couldn't see me. Yeah, maybe. But right now, I just feel betrayed. Like she's taken something away from me without even realizing it. Alex's voice softened. I get it, man. But don't let this ruin you. Let's talk when you get back. We'll figure it out together, yeah. Thanks, Alex. I hung up, feeling both grateful for his support and utterly alone in the quiet of the hotel room. As I lay in bed that night, the words from her diary played over and over in my mind. The betrayal felt like a shadow, darkening every memory I had of our marriage. The days following my discovery blurred together, each one feeling heavier than the last. I went through the motions of my business trip, but my mind was never fully present. Every meeting, every conversation, was clouded by the betrayal I felt. Emily's words echoed in my mind, "He makes me feel seen." I couldn't shake the image of her leaning over her laptop, typing those words with a smile on her face, while I was right there, oblivious. Back home, I decided I needed to take control of the situation. I couldn't just let this betrayal slide. It wasn't just about her infidelity, it was about the loss of trust, the erosion of our marriage. I needed a plan, a way to show her the consequences of her choices. I called Alex as soon as I returned from my trip. We met at our usual spot, a small cafe where we had shared countless conversations over coffee. The familiar smell of roasted beans and pastries grounded me as I sat down across from him. "Hey, how was the trip?" Alex asked, trying to lighten the mood. "Not great," I replied, leaning forward, my voice low. "I found out some pretty serious stuff while I was gone. About Emily and her boss." Alex's expression shifted from casual to concerned. "Still on that? Did you talk to her?" "No. Not yet," I admitted, rubbing my temples. "But I don't want to just sit here feeling hurt. I need to do something that makes her understand what she's lost." "Are you talking revenge?" Alex raised an eyebrow, a mix of surprise and intrigue crossing his face. "What do you have in mind?" I leaned back in my chair, considering my words carefully. "I want her to feel the weight of her actions. I was thinking of throwing a big networking event, something extravagant. I'll invite clients and influential people, show her what she's missing out on." Alex nodded slowly, a smile creeping across his face. "I like it. You make a name for yourself, and she gets to see you shining while she's stuck in the mess she created. That'll definitely send a message." "It's not just about the message," I said, frustration bubbling to the surface. "I want her to realize how good I can be without her. How much I can achieve on my own. Maybe then she'll understand that I'm not the one who's replaceable." "Just make sure you don't lose yourself in this," Alex warned. "Revenge can have a funny way of backfiring." "I know that," I snapped, the heat rising in my cheeks. "But right now, I don't care. I just need to take action." Alex studied me, his expression turning serious. "Okay, then let's do this. Let's plan something that'll really knock her socks off." Over the next week, we worked tirelessly to organize the event. Alex was a whirlwind of ideas and contacts, and I found myself leaning on him more than I had anticipated. We secured a trendy venue in New York, and I reached out to clients and colleagues, carefully crafting invitations that hinted at the exclusivity of the gathering. "David, this is going to be huge," Alex said one afternoon as we reviewed the guest list. "You've got to make a killer presentation. This is your chance to show everyone what you're capable of." I nodded, my resolve hardening. "And she'll be in the audience, watching me succeed. I can't wait to see the look on her face when she realizes what she threw away. Just remember to keep it professional. We're not out for blood, just to make a point," Alex reminded me, but there was a glint of mischief in his eyes. "I'll be fine," I assured him. "But I can't promise I won't let my emotions slip if I see her." "Just be smart about it," he cautioned. "You're in control. Don't let her turn the tables on you." As the event day approached, I spent my evenings refining my presentation and rehearsing my speech. The thought of Emily seeing me at the top of my game was intoxicating, a powerful fuel for my anger. I envisioned the moment when she would walk into the venue, all smiles, only to find the spotlight on me instead. The night before the event, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at my notes. Doubts crept in, whispering that I was about to cross a line. I tried to shake them off, reminding myself of how betrayed I felt. But a small voice in the back of my mind wondered if this path would only lead to more pain. The next morning, I met Alex for coffee to finalize the last-minute details. He noticed the tension in my shoulders. "You good? You look like you're about to run a marathon." "I just want it to be perfect," I replied, glancing around the cafe as if searching for reassurance. "What if she doesn't react the way I want her to?" "Then you've got to move on, my friend," Alex said, placing a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "You've done the work, now it's time to let it speak for itself. Remember, this isn't just about her, it's about you reclaiming your power." "Right," I said, taking a deep breath. Reclaiming my power. As we finished our coffee, I felt a surge of determination. I would showcase my success and strength, no matter what the consequences. I would not be the one left feeling hollow. I had a plan, and I was ready to execute it. The day of the networking event arrived, and the energy in New York City buzzed with anticipation. The venue, a sleek, modern space overlooking the skyline, was perfectly chosen to impress the clients and influential guests I had invited. As I entered the space, I marveled at the elegant decor, soft lighting, chic furnishings, and the gentle hum of music setting a sophisticated tone. This was my moment. I spotted Alex arranging the last of the name tags at the registration table. He looked up and grinned when he saw me. "David, you ready to steal the show?" "I guess so," I replied, forcing a smile despite the butterflies dancing in my stomach. "This is it. I can't believe how many people actually showed up." "Just wait until Emily gets here," Alex said, winking. "This is going to blow her mind." I nodded, a mix of nerves and excitement coursing through me. I had rehearsed my speech 100 times, but standing in the venue, with the vibrant energy of the attendees buzzing around me, I felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just about showcasing my success, it was about proving to Emily that I was more than what she had chosen to overlook. As the clock ticked closer to the start time, I paced the floor, glancing at the door every few minutes, waiting for her to arrive. Finally, the first guests began to filter in, and the room filled with conversations and laughter. I greeted clients and colleagues, showcasing my enthusiasm and confidence. Yet, my eyes were still searching for her. "There she is," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper as he nudged me with his elbow. I turned to see Emily step through the door, her face lighting up as she took in the room. She looked stunning, her hair cascading over her shoulders, wearing a sleek dress that hugged her figure perfectly. I felt a twinge of something, admiration, perhaps, before it quickly twisted into anger again. She had no idea what was coming. "Keep your cool," Alex whispered as he joined me. "Remember your plan." "Yeah," I muttered, trying to focus. "I can do this." As Emily moved through the crowd, her gaze landed on me, and I forced a smile. She approached, looking both excited and apprehensive. "David, I had no idea you were putting on an event like this," she said, her voice bright but tinged with uncertainty. "It looks amazing." "Thanks, Emily." "I appreciate that," I said, trying to keep my tone casual. "It's going to be a great night." She glanced around, clearly impressed by the turnout. "I'm surprised so many people came." "I mean, it's just a networking event, right?" "Just a networking event?" I echoed, raising an eyebrow. "This is an opportunity to showcase the potential we have. You should know that better than anyone." Her smile faltered for a moment, and I could see a flicker of realization in her eyes. "Right, of course." She hesitated, glancing over her shoulder at the guests. "You've really outdone yourself." "Glad you think so," I replied, feeling a rush of satisfaction as I watched her take in the room, the weight of my success beginning to dawn on her. "Let me introduce you to a few clients." As I guided her through the crowd, I made sure to highlight key guests, pointing out influential partners and promising prospects. Each introduction was a calculated move, a way to showcase the life she could have had by my side, a stark contrast to what she had chosen instead. "David, I need to talk to you," Emily said, her tone shifting slightly as we moved to a quieter corner of the room. "About what?" I asked, feigning innocence while feeling the tension rise. "About us," she replied, her eyes searching mine. "I didn't think you'd be this upset about everything. I thought we were going to work through it." "Work through it?" I echoed, trying to keep my voice steady. "You thought leaving me for someone else was going to be easy? You thought I'd just move on like it was nothing?" "It's not like that," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I was confused, David. I thought I could find what I needed elsewhere. And look where that's gotten you," I said, my frustration spilling over. "You're here, at my event, watching me succeed without you. How does that feel, David?" Look, I didn't invite you here to rehash our relationship," I interrupted, trying to keep my cool but failing to hide the bitterness creeping into my voice. "I wanted you to see what you're missing out on. This is what you walked away from." Before she could respond, I caught sight of the clock. It was time for my presentation. I straightened up, the adrenaline kicking in. "Excuse me for a moment." "Wait," she called after me, but I ignored her, pushing through the crowd toward the stage where I would give my speech. As I stepped up to the podium, the room fell silent. I looked out at the sea of faces, some friendly, some unfamiliar, but all there to witness my moment. My gaze drifted to Emily, who stood at the edge of the crowd, her expression unreadable. For a brief second, I hesitated, but then I took a deep breath and began. "Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm thrilled to showcase not just my work but also the incredible potential we have as a team," I said, my voice steady as I launched into my carefully crafted speech. I shared my vision, highlighting achievements and future goals, painting a picture of success that felt almost tangible. With each passing moment, I could feel the energy shifting. I made eye contact with various guests, my confidence growing. I glanced at Emily once more, and I could see the realization dawning on her face, the weight of her decisions beginning to sink in. By the time I wrapped up, the room erupted in applause. I stepped off the stage, my heart racing. I had done it, I had showcased my success. I turned to find Alex, who clapped me on the back, grinning from ear to ear. "Dude, you killed it. They loved you." "Thanks," I said, still riding the adrenaline. But as I scanned the room, I saw Emily standing off to the side, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. A wave of uncertainty washed over me. Had I crossed a line? This was supposed to be about showcasing my success, but seeing her like that made me question my intentions. Just as I was about to approach her, she turned and slipped away into the crowd. I felt a strange mix of triumph and unease settling in my chest. "Where are you going?" Alex called after me. I need to find her," I said, my heart pounding. "This isn't over yet." As I pushed through the crowd, I realized that maybe my plan hadn't just been about revenge. Perhaps it had been about closure, a chance to finally confront the pain and betrayal. But now, I felt like I was stepping into unknown territory, and the consequences of my actions loomed larger than I had anticipated. The energy of the event began to fade as guests trickled out, laughter and chatter giving way to a silence that felt oppressive. I had pulled off what I thought was a brilliant plan, showcasing my success and demonstrating to Emily what she had lost, but now that high was wearing off, replaced by an unsettling weight in my chest. After searching through the crowd, I finally spotted Emily near the exit. She was standing alone, her expression a mixture of shock and regret. I hesitated for a moment, the earlier rush of adrenaline replaced by an uncomfortable realization. I had set out to hurt her, but the sight of her now filled me with a sense of dread. "Emily," I called, making my way toward her. "Can we talk?" She turned to face me, her eyes glistening. "David, not here," I interrupted, glancing around as a few remaining guests lingered. "Let's go outside." Once we stepped onto the balcony overlooking the city, the cool night air hit my face, clearing some of the fog in my mind. The skyline sparkled in the distance, but the beauty of the moment felt hollow. I needed to know where we stood after everything that had happened. What do you want, David? Emily asked, her voice shaky as she leaned against the railing. Did you really want to show off tonight? Because you did that well enough. Was that all you got from tonight? Just my success. I replied, trying to keep my tone level despite the turmoil inside me. I wanted you to see what you walked away from. I thought it might open your eyes. You think it was just about you? She shot back, her frustration boiling over. You really think I haven't been feeling awful about everything? Then why didn't you come to me? Why did you go to him? I pressed, my anger flaring back to life. You put me through hell, and I had to find out through a diary. Because I was scared, David, she exclaimed, her voice breaking. I didn't want to hurt you, but I felt lost. I thought maybe I could find what I needed elsewhere. I was wrong, okay? I see that now, do you? I challenged, the hurt surfacing again. Because I'm not sure you do. You've been talking about him like he was some kind of lifeline. What am I supposed to do with that? She sighed, frustration mingling with regret. I don't know, but I can't change the past. I'm standing here now, aren't I? Trying to make sense of it all. You throwing this event just made everything worse. Worse? I echoed, incredulous. This was supposed to be my moment, not just a slap in your face. I wanted you to see that I'm moving on, that I can be successful without you. And now what? She countered, her voice rising. Now I'm seeing my husband thrive while I'm left with the consequences of my choices. James is facing serious allegations, and wait, what? I interrupted, my heart sinking. What do you mean? James got called in for a meeting after he was seen leaving the event, she explained, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and fear. There are whispers about misconduct, and they're going to investigate. My job is at stake too. I didn't want any of this to happen. I stared at her, the realization hitting me like a brick. My plan to showcase my success hadn't just affected Emily, it had backfired in ways I never intended. So you might lose your job because of this? Because of you, David, she said, her voice trembling. I never wanted it to come to this. I ran a hand through my hair, panic swirling in my chest. This wasn't what I wanted. I just wanted you to see, to feel something. Feel what? She asked, her voice softening. What is it that you wanted me to feel? I wanted you to regret your choices. To realize what you had given up, I said, feeling the weight of my own words. But now, I'm not sure I want that anymore. Emily looked away, her gaze lost in the city lights. I'm so tired of this, David. I didn't want to hurt you, but now I'm left with the consequences of my mistakes, and it feels like you're reveling in my pain. I wasn't trying to hurt you, I said, my voice dropping. I just wanted you to understand. But it seems I've only made things worse. Maybe we both need to understand, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. We've both made mistakes. And now it feels like it's too late to fix anything. We stood in silence, the weight of our shared pain hanging in the air. I felt a part of me crumbling, the anger I had clung to dissipating into regret. I didn't want to ruin your life, Emily. I wanted you to see that I'm stronger than you thought, and I wanted you to see that I'm still here, trying to find my way back to you, she said, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. But this isn't how we should be handling things. I took a step closer, my heart aching at the distance between us. What do we do now? I don't know, she replied, shaking her head. I don't know if we can go back to what we had. But I do know that I want to try to rebuild. Together, if you'll let me. I need time, I said, my voice heavy with uncertainty. Everything feels so broken right now. I don't even know where to start. Then let's start with honesty, she suggested softly. Let's talk about what happened, about why we drifted apart in the first place. We can't just pretend everything is fine. I nodded slowly, feeling the gravity of her words. Okay. But I want to be honest too. I need to understand why you sought out someone else. As we talked, the conversation turned to the truths we had both been avoiding. We discussed our feelings, the fears that had driven us apart, and the pressures that had led Emily to confide in someone else. It was raw and uncomfortable, but for the first time in what felt like forever, it was real. By the time we parted ways that night, the weight of what had happened still lingered, but there was a glimmer of hope. We had opened the door to a conversation that could lead us back to each other, if we were willing to walk through it. The consequences of my actions were far from over, but maybe there was a path to healing after all. As I drove home, I realized that revenge hadn't brought me the satisfaction I sought, it had only opened a deeper wound. I needed to figure out how to heal, not just for Emily, but for myself.